few news stories. This one just found out about. The Washington Post has the article showing about the 2016 iPhone that the FBI had to hack into because Apple refused to let them in. And I always thought they got their software from Cellebrite, but they got it from Azimuth Security, and they secretly crafted the solution to hack in. So that's interesting. And so that's a fun article, and I put a link on my news links that bypasses the paywall because I'm a subscriber. So I'm surprised to see this, and I'm very glad to see it. Biden says he's going to cut off weapons to Israel if they continue to just slaughter the people in Palestine indiscriminately. Everybody on the left in America is definitely waiting for this, and I think it's really important because I think he's going to lose the election otherwise. So I think this is good. And speaking of politics, RFK Jr. had a brainworm that changed his personality and made him confused and disoriented. And he exposed, this was years ago, this is apparently quite common, especially if you do a lot of traveling. You get infected with tapeworms, and sometimes they crawl into your brain, and they eat part of your brain, and then they die. And then your brain makes a cyst around them to isolate it, and they say they thought it was cancer, and they were going to operate, but before they operated, they figured out it was a dead brainworm, and you should just leave it there. So it's there. So that's reassuring. He claims he's recovered. And so that one we talked about. So this one I was reading about, Big IP, I've talked about how people are going to be hacking firewalls and VPN controllers and such, and Big IP has a vulnerability, or it had ones like this before, where you can make an administrator account on the Big IP load balancer, without going through proper procedures, so you can hack in. They found 5 vulnerabilities that let you create administrator accounts and otherwise take over the device, and after you do that, then you could readjust the settings of the device, and you could control any other device that's connected to it. This is from Eclipsium, which is the company Paul Alcidorian works on, so I'm sure we'll hear about it next time there's a Paul's Security podcast, which I guess will be next week. Anyway, they only fixed 2 of them and refused to acknowledge the other 3 vulnerabilities, which is about what you get when you report to companies. And anyway, one thing they don't say here, they say it'll give you full administrative control of the device. They do not say that you can put malware on the load balancer, and I wonder if you can. Perhaps not. All they say is they got administrative control of it, but I think if you get administrative control, you can probably move up updated firmware and install extra software and run it, but they don't mention that. Stack Overflow is a huge community of people that post programming questions and get answers, and they have a huge library of that stuff. And when they found out that the AI companies were scraping their libraries to learn how to code, they tried to ban them and stop them, and then they tried to ban users from putting up AI generated content, and they just reversed course and agreed to sell all their old content to OpenAI, and apparently they're getting a lot of money because a lot of people who donated code are now trying to delete it, so OpenAI can't use it, and if you do that, they will cancel your account and put it back and not let you delete it. So they've clearly signed a contract selling that old code to OpenAI, and the actual programmers who put it there have no say, and they're not getting any of the money. And so I think this is just the beginning of the huge copyright lawsuits and battle that's coming over AI. Those coders are going to say that's mine, and then the question is going to be, what were the terms of service on Stack Overflow? When you posted that, did you agree that it was now their property and they could sell it or not? And Lord only knows. And the same thing is happening in the New York Times and every other large body of data on the web. The current AIs have all used it, and now various people are claiming they need to pay to use it. And nobody knows which way that's going to go. So this is a pretty impressive web fraud ring. They made automatically generated shops that would offer to sell clothing and shoes at very low prices. And when you bought them, you wouldn't get anything, but they would get your credit card number. And they got 850,000 people's credit card numbers with this massive ring of 75,000 fake online shops. And most of them in the United States and Western Europe. So you see shops like this that offer you clothing for cheap, and they steal your credit card number and just keep automatically regenerating them by the thousands. So lots of these such out there. So that's impressive automated crime. So this is straight out of a dark future story, like The Matrix. Dell has decided to force everyone to return to the office, so they are going to have a grading system that gives you a color code based on how you're actually working remotely or not. So it'll keep an attendance report card, grading you on 4 levels. Employees will have your status escalated up to the ladder, presumably to fire you. And so blue indicates consistent online presence, green is regular, yellow is some, and red indicates limited on-site presence. So they're going to be rating you, and this reminds me a lot of China's social credit score, where you have this number, which is how valuable a citizen you are, and they keep track of everything you do, and it goes up and down. Kind of scary stuff, and I wonder if people put up with it. Ever since the pandemic, most tech workers have refused to go back to the office, and most companies that have demanded this have found that people just would rather quit than come back to the office, and I think Dell is probably going to discover the same thing. Let's see some comments. How do the researchers find these zero-day vulnerabilities? Well, usually what they do is you can use fuzzers that just send lots of random things until it crashes and see. You can also unpack the code and then examine the code. You can decompile it. And those are the 2 main techniques. Another thing you can do, by the way, which is not what happened here, but this is how the Checkmate exploit was found, is you can wait till there's a patch, and then you can reverse engineer the patch to find out what they patched. And then you can develop an exploit to exploit the unpatched code. That's right, exactly. I think you're right, Akaren. If you were blue, had a doctor's appointment, then you'd be in trouble for doing that, it's the kind of thing. It's a pretty creepy idea. And like I say, I think the way they treat workers in Silicon Valley is just terrible. They lay them off, like Tesla's having the 4th round of layoff in a month, which is a terrible idea. Everybody at Tesla must be sending resumes out, planning to jump ship. I mean, if they're just firing everybody around you for no good reason, then of course you have no loyalty to that company. You don't love them anymore. They treat their workers so badly, and this Dell plan sounds insane. It's just, we really need unions in this business. The workers get treated very badly. Anyway, so Clippy is back, in the sense that Windows 11 is so annoying. Windows 10 is getting more popular than Windows 11. Many people using Windows 11 are going back to Windows 10 because Microsoft removed the features on Windows 11 that made you want it, like Android subsystem, and they filled it up with ads and garbage. So you got ads on the screen, ads in the search menu, and so there's a third-party product that uses Clippy's art, which will clean the crap out of Windows 11. This is fairly common, that you have to clean the crap out of Windows. And this is amazing. This guy has an Iron Man-style exoskeleton. You wear this belt, it's got batteries, it has a movable thing down here, and it can improve the strength of your legs by up to 38 kilograms. And apparently he says it really works. The guy that used it had sort of a knee injury. His knee wasn't very good, and he found this thing really was great. It made my life a lot better. He says it's kind of noisy when you walk. You look sort of like a creepy robot, but he says it really does help you walk better and carry heavy things and stuff. So, this is these exoskeletons. They've been talking about it for years. Now they're commercially available. This is about $1,200. Not too much for a thing like that. What's that? $1,200. And then, sort of like a prosthetic to make you walk better, run faster, or carry heavier weights,
I know that Ford company, they put out a skeleton for wearing for the workers.
Yeah.
They can lift like 300 pounds.
Yeah, I've seen in factories they have, yeah. And this is like Japanese anime with all the robots,
But this one is battery powered.
Right. This is like the home version. That's like the factory version, yeah. All right. Let me check for comments in the chat. Nothing new. All right. And Arc has come out. I just downloaded it. Haven't tried it yet. There's a new browser. It was originally for Mac. Now it's for Windows. And they say it is a Chrome killer because one problem with Chrome is Chrome uses up way too much memory. It's ridiculous, and Arc doesn't. So that's one improvement. They say it's much faster and a much smaller memory footprint, and there may be other advantages. He says Arc is really good, so I'm going to try it and see how it is. I could always use a better browser. And that's why I just downloaded it. All right, so I'll stop the news.